Hello, hello, you beautiful soul. Ooh boy. Ooh boy. The tests. The test. Okay. You're being tested so heavy right now if you're seeing this. And this is not made to scare you, but this is here to assist you, right? And to allow you some support while you hold this harmonic field and while you hold this accountability. Okay. Because right now, spirit is really separating the wheat from the chaff. I think that's how you say that. Whatevs. Spirit is calling us to really ground and to root into our physical experience, into our physical being. Okay. So right now, Spirit was saying that the tests, especially when it comes to 111, is look up your boundaries. Are you able to hold and stand firm in your inner knowing and trust fully your inner guidance? And the reason I was getting this separation thing is like you can be spiritually enlightened or you can be, religious or whatever, but that doesn't mean that you're operating from unconditional love, right? Because the test at the end of the day is to see what type of codes you're running. Are you running fear-based programming or are you operating from unconditional love, right? From the original template. These tests are here to show you where you can either respect yourself more, pour into yourself more, ground into your experience more, right? If you're in a place where you are spending more time in the astral doing dream work, doing spiritual work, and not finding ways to ground these knowings, these transmissions, this information, this wisdom into a practical physical form, then you're being called to do that. Okay, right now is the time to show your level of integration. Right now is not the time to sit in fear, shame, or guilt. And this comes to oneself. And Mama was serious. Mama and Papa both, Mama, Papa, whatever you want to call it, the universe, God, was so serious when this was placed, for me to share because there's so much that one can be distracted by right now. And that is part of the test, right? Are you going to feed into fear-based programming or are you going to reset things by grounding into the grid, to Mama's grid, right? Because that's the message I was getting is like right now we're being called to ground for yourself, for your physical health, yes, but also ground for the mother, right? Ground for the original blueprint, ground for Mama's grid, right? Gaia's grid. What she was showing me was activating the grid, right? Her activating. And then by us grounding into the grid and spreading our roots and growing deeper and deeper in that knowing, in that memory of what was, what always has been, and what always will be, right? Because that's the point that she was getting to, was like, right now is not the time to sit in victimhood. Right now is not the time to sit in self-defeat. It's not time to sit in any low vibrational fear-based programmings. You're being called to check each and every one of your programs. Like, this is so serious. She's like, I'm so serious, you guys. Become truly an observer of your reality and see where these distorted codes are running or operating from. And she was so adamant that I speak on the importance of grounding, and not only for us, like I said, not only for our physical health, but for her. Ground into her, right? Ground these higher frequency energies into the grid to activate it, right? We want her, we want the grid to be active. We want the true blueprint to be restored, is what I was just hearing. But so seriously, test after test after test. I'm talking boundaries. I'm talking about people coming in, people showing up. I had somebody today that I ran into, and I was like, oh, right? And I'm on the inside, and I'm like, oh, okay. I thought we closed that chapter. And Spirit's like, we did. You don't owe this person anything. You can choose to fall back into that pattern. You could choose to whatever. You could choose to continue on, right? Send that person unconditional love, allow them to sit in their own accountability. And, not just that, for me personally, not just that one person. I've had so many different tests, all these different things. And I'm like, I'm waiting for it, right? Because I already know what time it is. But I'm like, ooh, expect something, right? Expect to be tested. And it's not like judgment, it's more of just to see who's about it and who's not. Like, she was heavy on the don't talk about it, be about it, right? You don't need to sit around and run your mouth to everybody just spewing off this information uncontained. Like, it's important for us to integrate, and those are the leaders, those are the ones that Spirit's truly looking for, are for people who know how to integrate, right? And turn these things into practical, real physical forms to help people. 272 as I look up and seeing that heavy. Also, I wrote down 33 and 737 as I was channeling this. So those are numbers that you could be seeing. 737 as I look up. So what I was getting was like, what codes are you running? And each and every moment that you are presented with something, you have an opportunity to operate from fear-based programming or unconditional love. Right? We need people, we need leaders, we need so much unconditional love, right? We need people who can stand their ground, respect themselves, show compassion and grace and unconditional love to everybody, including themselves, right? Like, we need people who are going to show up and show out each and every time for the truth, for what is. So if you're sitting in a place where you feel like you're not trusting yourself, a Spirit's just really inviting you to take this time to take account, right? Zoom out. That's what I just heard her say. Zoom out, right? Zoom out and take full account of the situation at hand, right? And hold yourself accountable for how you react and respond to it. If you feel that you're operating from a fear-based program, you have to become the observer of it, right? You become the observer of that, and you're like, oh, okay, I see where I'm running a fear-based code. And then you take the necessary steps by following your inner guidance system to activate the Christed Sophic codes that are already written inside of your DNA. Everything that you have is there. You just have to claim it and then be willing to defend it. But it's so heavy right now, the energies, and we need people who can carry what they need to carry and not carry everybody else's weight, not hold themselves responsible for other people, not be consumed with emotions because they can't regulate. There's so much heavy things that we process and deal with. And if you want to actually be helpful, you have to integrate all of these things. I was getting that the reason that we also want to ground, right, is to root heavy. I'm talking deep roots, so deep that when these winds of change come, and they've already begun, and we all know that these winds of change are here, and we need to stay so deeply rooted in the mother so that we are unmovable, right? We might sway and bend a little bit, but at the end, at the core, we're rooted in that knowing, holding on to the original grid, activating fully the original grid, right? The enemy, the false light matrix, even, right, is here to cap you. No, we're not playing cap. No cap around here, period. We don't cap around here. We go straight to source, and we anchor source all the way back down to mama. We're the pillars. And so mama's just like, if you're sitting here in inflated spiritual ego, playing in some cosmic cosplay in the astral realm and not actually applying anything practically to the physical realm, to her, to yourself, then what are you doing? Right? You're sitting in spiritual ego. Get out of that and get down to business. Like, do it or don't. We don't have time for people to sit here and isolate and sit in this inflated ego space, not properly integrated, and have no freaking clue how to actually apply these knowings in a form that benefits, right? How many people that say that they're spiritual or in the spiritual community or even religious go around just forcing things onto people? No, whenever you're integrated, whenever you're properly integrated, you flow and you align yourself with the people who need to hear what you have to say. If your mission is to speak, whatever it is. But mom is like so big on like, talk about it. Don't talk about it. I mean, don't talk about it. Be about it. Like, be about it. If you're doubting yourself, remove the doubt. If you're doubting yourself, it's because you're not trusting. Where could you trust yourself more? Where could you strengthen your faith in yourself? Like, it is big on crunch time right now. Victimhood, out the door. Self-sabotage, out the door. And how do we do this? We take account, right? So for the next extended period of time that you feel like you're being tested, you're going to note it, right? Pay attention to yourself. Be aware of yourself. Be aware of your patterns and see where am I operating from fear-based programs, and how can I reprogram? I chose subliminals and just listening to things, audios in the background, right? When I first started my journey, I've done almost 2 decades of that. Now I believe certain things. It's so in there. I believe it. I'm talking about I believe it. Like, there's no change in my mind. I'd have to reprogram myself again, because that's how deep, like, the programs run. And some of these programs are they're losing control. Okay, every sick little twisted parasitic energy that is left is flailing around, and throwing the biggest hissy fit that it could possibly, because it knows that it is losing its grip. It never even had a grip. It just needed you to think that it did. And that's where the doubt comes in. 1515. The doubt comes in to cap you, to keep you from fulfilling what it is that you came here to do. No. No. I love you. So, I feel like that was a lot of words, but Mama is like so serious, Spirit's so serious right now about getting grounded and practical applications of this wisdom. Spirit is looking for leaders who are integrated, who operate from unconditional love, period. And again, this isn't judgment, it's just like a kind of like a gauge to see where you're at. And this is an opportunity for you to allow yourself to be aware of the gauge and to be aware of the choices that we have. We operate from fear-based control programming, or we operate from unconditional love, the original template. You can choose to operate from the false matrix system, or you can operate from the original template. The choice is yours, right? So, anyways, I love you. I love you. It's a wonderful day to get grounded, and it's an even better day to remove your self-doubt and know that you are truly divine and trustworthy. Even whenever you make a mistake or a misstep or whatever, it's all divinely guided. Especially if you're seeing my content. There's no accident. So, anyways, love you.